Hey there BookTube, welcome back to my channel and welcome to my recent book haul. It's been a while since I've showed you books that have come into my life. I don't know that I actively set out to not buy books in 2018, but I did intend to read more of the books that I owned. I started this off by posting a video where I showed you my TBR stack, and I've been actively trying to read more of the books that I own and getting books that I really needed to get from the library, new releases and things that I wanted to get my hands on as soon as possible. So it's not that I set out to not buy books, it's more that I got distracted by all the other books that I had to read. But because this is BookTube and this is what we do, some books still found their way on my shelves. So I'm going to show you the last maybe 10 or so books that I've gotten. I'm not going to show you all the books that I've acquired in 2018 because some of them I've already talked about here on this channel, and some of them are books that have come from publishers and I'm not sure if I'm going to review them or when that's going to happen. So I'm just going to tell you the 10 books that I've gotten recently that I'm probably most excited about. So you know how they say last to arrive, first to go. These are the 3 books that I've acquired most recently. First is a novel entitled Goodbye Vitamin by Rachel Kong. This is about a young woman who quits her job and returns home to find that her parents' lives are kind of in disarray. I don't know too much about the book, but I saw Rustler from Ink and Paper blog talk about it, and almost any book that Rustler recommends is a book that I want to read. So that's probably pretty soon on my list. It's a pretty short novel as well. It's under 200 pages, so that should be a quick read before the end of the month. Next, I got Zaytoon by Dave Eggers, which is set in New Orleans in the post-Katrina era, and I'm not sure if it's fiction or non-fiction, but it's a story that I'd like to read about, whether it is true or not. And this one is about 300 and something pages, so that should be a pretty... Oh, it does say on the back that it's a biography, so that should be an interesting non-fiction book that intersperses all my novel reading. Then finally I got Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon, which is a small inspirational read about creativity, 10 things nobody told you about being creative, and it has lots of doodles and pictures and just random ways of getting the message across about how to unlock your creativity, and it gives you all the information that's inside in detail on the back in bullet points. Steal like an artist. Don't wait until you know who you are to get started. Write the book you want to read. Use your hands. Side projects and hobbies are important. 6, the secret. Do good work and share it with people. Number 7, geography is no longer a master. 8, be nice. The world is a small town. 9, be boring. It's the only way to get work done. And number 10, creativity is subtraction. So that's Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. I got all 3 of these books for about $1 each. And so when I saw them at the thrift store, I didn't leave them behind, even though I wasn't necessarily looking for books. So that's not true. The only thing I buy at thrift stores are books. So if I'm in the thrift store and I'm not looking for books, I'm lying. Next 2 books came from the Book of the Month Club. I got a gift subscription at the beginning of the year, and I chose Sing Unburied Sing by Jesmyn Ward and The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn. I read this one and talked extensively about it. It was our book club read in January, so I'm gonna link that video. If you haven't heard me talk about it yet, you might want to go ahead and see that video. And The Woman in the Window by AJ Finn is supposed to be a thriller, and everyone was raving about it in January, but I haven't heard the best of reviews and I haven't gotten to it yet. This one is about an agoraphobic woman who spies on her neighbors through her window and thinks she sees a crime being committed. It takes place in the Harlem community in which I live, and at first I thought that it was either written by or featured an African-American character, but I think both the author and the main character are Caucasian, so I'm not sure if that dampened my enthusiasm a bit. I don't think so. I think I might have been a little bit put off because of the size of the novel. It is over 400 pages, but I will read it soon, even if only because it pops up on one of those videos where I let you guys choose my TBR. Next is a book that was gifted to me somewhere around the end of December, beginning of January, and that I read almost as soon as I received it, and that is Eleanor Elephant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. And this one, you know, is about a young woman who suffers a childhood trauma. And so as an adult, she's a recluse and an alcoholic, and her life changes when she decides that it's time for her to start opening up herself to romance. And she develops a friendship with a co-worker that changes even the things in her life that she didn't know that she was ready to change. I liked a lot of things about this book when I was reading it, but I didn't think that it was award-winning quality. So I was a little puzzled when it started popping up on all these different award lists, but I'll link the video where I talked a little bit more about this one in the description box. If you want to check out more of my thoughts, you can check it out down there. Next are the last two books that I got from Blogging for Books. Blogging for Books was an amazing website that linked major publishers with people who ran blogs and who were willing to receive free finished copies of books in the mail in exchange for writing an honest review. Of course, I signed up for that. I received so many books from Blogging for Books. It was awesome. A few weeks ago, they sent an email and said, if you are interested in getting one last book, do it now because the website is closing. And my heart has been sunken ever since. But these are the last two books that I got from them: Anatomy of a Miracle by Jonathan Miles and The Heart's Invisible Furies by John Boyne. I'm not finished reading this one, but I did do a preliminary review of my first thoughts about the first 100 pages or so. So I'm not sure where the rest of the story is going, but I'm excited to finish it at some point soon. But they also sent me Anatomy of a Miracle by Jonathan Miles, which is about a young man from the South who is a war veteran from Afghanistan. When he was on tour in the military, he had an accident where he was paralyzed. And when he returns home, he's home for some years. And one day, inexplicably, he's being pushed in his wheelchair, which you can see right here as the wheelchair tracks. And then just as suddenly as he lost his ability to walk, he starts walking again. And it is a fascinating read. I'm not finished with it yet, but it is a story that I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying the journalistic way in which the author wrote this fictional story. He does say here that it's a novel, but it's written as though it's a true story, and it is fascinating. The crowning jewels of this book haul, because yes, while book hauls by themselves are special, they're usually books that just make us that much more excited for one reason or another. And this time it's these three books that, if you follow me on Instagram stories, you might have seen me unbox. I got a gift from my friend last week. She was my childhood best friend. We got separated when we were in our late teens, early 20s, and we recently reconnected. And now she's my best friend again. She lives in Georgia. And she watches my videos, so she saw when I talked about the Man Booker 50 Challenge, where I'm trying to read all the books that won the Man Booker Prize before the end of May. And she decided to send me a gift of books that I don't yet have that are Man Booker 50 qualifiers. And so she sent me these three books, and it's awesome. I already read The Narrow Road to the Deep North by Richard Flanagan. I did a buddy read of this one with my friend K.A., who's a subscriber here. And this one is about prisoners of war during the Japanese occupation of Burma during World War II, and about these men who, some of them went through this experience, some of them survived, some of them didn't, and what their lives were like before, during, and after the war. And it is an intense read. If you've read this one, I'd love to talk with you about it in the comments down below. But other than that, she also sent me Hilary Mantel's two books, Wolf Hall and Bring Up the Bodies, which I am so excited to finally dive into because I have heard great things about both of these books. So that's it. Those are the 10 books that have come into my life. 10 or 11? 2, 4, 6, 8. 11. I prefer odd numbers to even, so that's the story of the 11 books that have come into my life most recently that I'm most excited about. Go ahead and leave me a comment down below. Let me know what book you've acquired recently and what's the story behind how you got it, and we'll talk down there. Also, if you want to talk about any of the books that I just mentioned, go ahead and leave me a comment about that as well. Of course, this is the book that I finished most recently from this stack, so thoughts on this one are always welcome. But subscribe if you haven't already. I love meeting new people. Give me a thumbs up if you like this video and want to see more like it, and we'll talk in the comments. So until next time, happy reading. Bye.